Coach, after going back and looking at the film from Saturday, just an overall view of going back and looking at it now, what did it look like to you?
Well, we haven't played great complementary football all year. You know what I mean? Just really for the most part, for a lot of the part, I mean, our defense has played well and our offense is struggling. We've been bad on special teams. This game was probably our best offensive game. And, we actually looked like Navy football again on offense. It was encouraging to see, just us play and just Ty, operated offense really well, got us in the right plays. I mean, I was really, really excited to see the way Ty played this past Saturday against a really good team. And obviously, I thought it was our best special teams. And so just, our defense has been carrying us this year. And it's just, discouraged from the standpoint of, we probably didn't play our best game, and that was a tough part. Probably give it to big plays. We had some coverage stuff, but also they're a good team. The quarterback's really headsy. Seems like he's been there for 10 years, you know what I mean? Just been there forever. But it was hard to get them off the field. We only had 48 plays on offense, which is normally we have more plays than that, you know what I mean? But they did a good job possessing the ball. But we had our chances still. We still had our chances. We still had our chances to finish the game. We make that play there at the end, and Mark's going to make a ton of plays for us in the future. We know that he's a really good player. But we make that play, the game's probably over. You know what I mean? Or Bijan's been money. We're just going to milk the clock. You know what I mean? Center the ball and kick it like he's done in his career many times. And so, fortunately, we couldn't do it. But even with that said, we punted them down, and they made a big play at the end of their pass play. But hopefully they don't get in field goal range, and then a guy kicks a 54-yarder. I mean, as long as kick to that point had been 39 yards, so you tip your hat to them and move on. But definitely had our chances, Pete. Sad for our seniors that we didn't get a chance to win for them on senior day, but we still got 2 more games, and our guys will come back. That's been our message. It hurt bad to lose, just especially the way we lost on the last play of the game. Nothing we can do about that. We got to press forward and get ready for Temple.
As you will sit down at some point and evaluate this and talk about it going forward, the fact that the offense did look what Navy offense is supposed to be about, despite all the injuries and shuffling you've done on the offensive line, if that continues over these last 2 games, as you sit down and evaluate, is that what you're hoping to see, especially from some guys that coming back will have to be major contributors going forward?
I guess it's crazy as it is because it's a crushing loss, you know what I mean, Pete? But I was encouraged because I recognized that offense. You know what I mean? After being like, wow, we look like us, which we hadn't seen there's bits and parts this year. I mean, you know what I mean? But not the consistency that we're looking for. But that looked like Navy football offense. And I know, we'll bounce back defensively. But I'm encouraged, like you said, because I don't know, maybe Scott knows, but I don't know if we've started the same offensive line once. You know what I mean? And in 2019, we started 5 guys for, the whole year.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just one of those years. And obviously we've had injuries everywhere, like everybody. We're down in the linebacker spot. We're down in the secondary spot. But I've been impressed, like you said, Pete, that with even the changes up front that we've gotten better. Thought Ty got much better this week, and I was really happy to see him. But I'm encouraged by that. He made quick decisions in the pass game, quick decisions in the run game, got us in the right plays. And East Carolina, be honest with you, they move around more than Notre Dame. You know what I mean? Like, Notre Dame talked about them stemming around and stuff like that. I mean, ECU moved way more than they did. But it's a testament to me, but I'm encouraged, like you said, because I think on one time they were talking about on a one kickoff team, we had 8 freshmen on the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's 8 out of 11 guys are freshmen.
Right.
And the guy running it back to the house is a freshman. You know what I mean? And so, and the other guys that were returning the ball earlier were freshmen. You know what I mean? And so the future is bright, but all of our focus right now is obviously the future of Temple and just the wake of this game.
You led me to my next question about, Mikel. It was just a matter of time before he got one. What was the success to that as you went back and watched it? As you said, you got a lot of young guys that are out there, green as grass, out there blocking for him, and they set it up nicely for him.
Well, the kickoff return team probably has been, one of the bright spots, probably as consistent as any or our special teams the whole season. And, a lot of it has been Mikel, and our kickoff return team is blocked great. But you also recognize that you got to block great, but a big part of kickoff return is the guy returning it. And, he's special back there, dynamic kid. He was awesome, on the other special teams. He's on a kickoff team and a couple other ones. I mean, the kid's got a bright future here. We kind of knew that. I think he jumped close to 40 inches on his vertical, and so when you see that, I mean, there's some stuff in the 40s sometimes early on that, maybe a guy can kind of, maybe he's not 40 ready or he's not prepared to run the 40-yard dash, and we don't really test it. But the vertical, you can't hide that. Either you got explosiveness or you don't. And so when he did that, like, whoa, this kid's special. And it's been showing up really all season, but it really showed up obviously on his long kickoff return for a touchdown.
Final one for me, obviously in college football, unlike even college basketball, where you get a couple of scrimmages before the season starts, Ivan can put Ty and the other quarterbacks through drills 60 hours a week, and there's still no substitute for game play. Just the fact that he's progressing game by game, and as you mentioned, handling so much more this week, getting you into the right play and the things that are important for the quarterback in this role. Just the fact that he's managed to stay healthy and play. How much is that experience now going forward when he has a chance, obviously now, to be the leader at that spot for you?
Well, the other part of it too, Pete, is what you hit is exactly right. And we haven't had the opportunity to get him an FCS game or some Patriot League games. You know what I mean? Just like, the guy's come into the hardest schedule since I've been here in 24 years. You know what I mean? And so he couldn't even break in with maybe a game that we got a shot, early on. I mean, they're all tough wins to start. So that made it even tougher. But you're encouraged, like you said, because those reps you can only get in practice, in the games, and to get you better. And I thought he's gotten better the whole season. Probably the one game, probably his worst game was at Notre Dame. But I think people come to realize what Notre Dame did after our game. I mean, they literally basically shut out Virginia. Virginia kicked a field goal late, and he shut out Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
So people are like, hey, what happened to the Ty in office? Did you see what they've been doing to people lately? I mean, and so all of that, the reason it's not excuse me, but you got to take all of it in, I think, as you evaluate. You know what I mean? And I thought he bounced back against a really, really good Notre Dame team on the road and played his best game against East Carolina.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Pete.
Bill Wagner.
Coach, could you talk a little bit about Temple? They're in a 6-game losing streak. They're struggling a little bit.
We're nobody to talk. I mean, we got to worry about ourselves, man. You know what I mean? Just it's not like we're Alabama or anybody. You know what I mean? We're 2-8. We got to focus on ourselves. They've always been talented. They're going through things that we're going through, but they're always a talented team. We're just now starting to start our prep wags into watching them and getting out, watching what they do. But again, we just lost last week. And I mean, we're 2-8. We got to come guns a blazing. We got to be prepared. And so we're just now starting to kind of take a look at them, starting all the evaluation process. But we're going on the road. We're both desperate for a win, Wags. You know what I mean? So both schools are desperate for a win. So I know it's going to be. I mean, guys are going to come out swinging because we both want to win. We both need to win bad.
One thing that hasn't changed with Temple, as I look at them, they are highly ranked on the defensive side of the ball. So it looks like it's their offense that's been struggling, but defensively they're doing fairly well as far as the numbers and the stats.
Yeah, like I said, we're just starting that, but they're always been big and physical, and they can run. I know they're young. You know what I mean? They're a young team too, and they've had some transfer stuff too. So there's always that stuff. You know, maybe the chemistry is kind of come with some of the injuries and some of the transfer stuff that's going on. But all the years we played them, they're always a talented football team. Maybe it's just chemistry and some of the things that they're working on through right now. But they're going to be big and physical and very athletic.
So with regard to the offensive line, as I look at the depth chart, Bryce is now the starting left guard. So I guess Darrelson is on the shelf for now.
Yeah, Darrelson right now, and he's probably, questionable to probable this week. You know what I mean? So we'll see where he's at with everything.
And what about over at left tackle? Why did Jamie Romo have to make his first career start? So is there an injury over there as well?
Well, we just thought it'd give us our best five. We moved we moved Rice into guard. He's played everywhere. We moved Mortezi to right guard, because Pena didn't go last week. So we just felt that gave us our best five with those guys in there, with Jamie at tackle. And Jamie played well. Really proud of him.
Really he's a local kid, St. Mary's High School, and I was wondering if he's improved apparently.
I love the kid, Wags. I mean, he's a kid that doesn't say much, works his butt off. You never worry about him. He's got great grades. He's never in trouble in the hall. I mean, he's like almost perfect to coach because he works hard. I remember as a plebe, he'd be the first guy in the weight room. Our morning lifts are at 6, and he'd come in there early, like a quarter till, whatever, and come and warm up. Some guys are straggling in, at 6:55 or whatever, or 5:55. But he was always a guy that was early. But happy for him, a local kid, Wags, that has paid his price, has worked, doesn't ask for anything, doesn't ask for any preferential treatment, doesn't ask for anything, just comes and works. And really happy for him because I thought he played well. I thought our offensive line played really well Saturday against the good. So I was happy for the way they played.
With regard to it looked, I noticed it early in the game, and I don't know if this continued throughout. You were shuttling the plays in with a receiver or a slot back. That's what Johnson used to do back in the day. But you all had kind of switched to signaling plays in. Was there a reason why you decided to go back to that old style?
Just some of it is, guys are good at getting signals, taking signals, and it's just easier. It's harder to steal signals, obviously, when you're taking them in. So that was really the biggest reason. And you go a little bit slower, which is fine. You know what I mean? And so some of the stuff we did, we used to signal, but I think a big part of it is just it's harder for people to steal your signals because there are no signals.
And then, so you indicated that Ty did a really good job of making reads at the line of scrimmage and checking plays. Is that correct?
Ty played awesome. Ty played. I'm encouraged because, like I said, Ty playing like that, we can win games. And Ty playing like that, I thought he played really well. He threw the ball well. He put that third down ball right on the money. You know what I mean? He did everything he was supposed to do. He got us in the right plays. He found chance on the end line on the the one goal line play. The kid played a really good football game.
And last for me, how are you doing? Is there a diagnosis for what's up with your knee, leg?
Fortunately, nothing torn, and they checked me out after, which they said they're kind of surprised that it wasn't worse. my wife told me, honey, you gotta open your eyes on the sideline. Like, I know that. But I was looking at, I was looking at the ball carrier. I didn't see Coop blocking, but fortunately it wasn't worse. I'm okay though, but
All right, so you don't have to have postseason surgery.
no, I think fortunately I got a lot of fat surrounding my knee, so it cushioned all of the blow that came there. So I'm okay.
All right, thanks.
I was gonna list them in the game notes as probable, but I decided.
Probable.
Mr. Edmonds from Al Scoop.
Hey, Coach, I'm just looking at Temple, the passing defense is there. They stay in a lot of nickel and dime, but running, they're giving up north of 220 yards per game. Is that something you guys are looking at where you're putting in the game plan this week?
Well, we're just starting to evaluate them, Ivan, and just, we're a running team, obviously, first and foremost, so we look at all that stuff, but, personnel wise, like I said, I mean, they're always a physical group. You know what I mean? But yes, obviously we're taking all those stats into account.
And with, DeJuan Mathis, planning to enter the transfer portal, we've got a true freshman, Justin Lynch, starting back there at quarterback. How important is it for you guys to get to him early and try to rattle him and bring the freshman aspect out of him?
Well, obviously it always helps. We're just talking about Coach Pete was asking about the experience of our quarterbacks. It always helps when you have an experienced quarterback. Like I said, ECU's quarterback seems like he's been there for 7 years. I mean, it seems like he's been there forever. So, he played well against us. So having, it's always nice if you're an opponent to play against an inexperienced quarterback or a younger quarterback. I think it helps you. But, guys, you never know. Guys can play well. But yes, we'd much rather play against inexperienced than experienced, but we also know he's very talented. So, guys mature faster too. Hopefully he doesn't mature quickly for us, but he's a talented kid.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, brother.
Graham Knight.
Coach, it's a tough game when the coach gets tackled. I mean, that's the kind of battle you want to be involved in. I know it wasn't exactly the score you wanted to end with, but talk to me a little bit. You had 4 seniors score touchdowns. Does that give you any kind of consolation at all for senior day or for those seniors that are closing out their career?
Well, because I wanted to win for them, but like I said, I felt hope for still this the rest of our 2 games because I felt like we played better on offense. And like I said, Graham, I've been on a sideline for 24 years or was on offense, and so I know what our offense is supposed to look like, and we look like us. We look like us, and so that was the encouraging part against a good team. I mean, this team's, what is that now, 7 wins? I mean, they're bowl eligible, and
7.
I mean that's a good team, and so I'm encouraged because I saw our offense, and that was the encouraging part. Obviously, really the only consolation we'd want to win for them, but I'm encouraged that for our seniors that the last 2 games, hopefully we can continue to play well on offense to give us a chance against Temple.
Gotcha. I want to talk about freshmen for a minute. What does it take to be a freshman to get your attention? And also kind of want to go back to Haywood's run back. It seemed to me, I was going back through the kickoffs from ECU. They kicked to that right corner for most of the game away from Haywood. I couldn't tell if that was intentional. You actually had switched up sides. When you looked at the tape, were they intentionally trying to keep it away from Haywood?
Well, Coach O'Rourke did a really good job that handles our kickoff return units. And so he did a really good job of scoping where they would be kicking the ball. And so when we saw that again, they did a really good job of going there. We knew where they were kicking it at the last second, being able to switch. So it helped us at that point. So we switched late and was able to get, Mikel over there, our returner, that way that the off turner would, they wouldn't be kicking it to our off returner. So it's a great job by Coach O'Rourke making a game time adjustment. You know what I mean? To see all of that and try to make sure that they couldn't kick away from him. And it was a great return by him. He's playing as good as anybody in our team. I mean, he, made tackles on kickoff return, kickoff coverage. He's on other teams. Mikel Haywood, the kid's got a bright future here.
Now, was there anything besides that 40-inch vertical that stood out to you as he was coming up, or what was the breakthrough moment for him? Because I noticed him a couple of games before doing kick return. Was there a breakout moment?
Well, that's how he got on kickoff return, because of we saw his vertical. And then, because we got some talented young freshmen that's slot backs. We got Corey Myers, who is a 200-meter champ in the state of Maryland. I mean, so this kid can run. We got some young kids that can run. Terrell Vincent can run. Amin Hassan, Campbell Space. So there's some young freshman kids that, they're freshmen that we're excited about. So he was kind of in that group, and he was doing some good things. But it was I think when he got that vertical and we saw him return some kicks in practice, really, I think against the scouts, they're like, hey, wait a minute, against the starting team, we got to see what else this kid can do. But just all of his work, his whole work at slot back, you could tell this guy's going to be special. And that's how he got to start as a kickoff returner, just, his 40 vertical or close to it, and some of the other things he did in practice.
All right, terrific, Coach. Glad to hear your knees not serious.
Thanks, Graham. Thank you.
We just got a couple minutes left. Phil Bergman.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to touch on special teams. Just how pleased are you out of the work that Coach O'Rourke and Coach Caniglio have done this year?
Really, really excited. Our punting game, has improved tremendously. I thought we were doing a really good job there. Coach Caniglio is doing a really good job with that, keep people off balance. Coach O'Rourke on KOR have been really solid the whole time. And, I thought we did some good adjustments on our kickoff team to kind of keep them over there. So, like I said, it was probably our best special teams of the season. And I was, like I said, I was really excited when we had the ball there at the end, because if we scored a touchdown, it was great. But as soon as, I knew once we get that one for third down, it was going to be milk the clock. I wasn't going to try to score a touchdown, because we would be already in Bijan's range. Now, we'd obviously always want to get closer, and we would try to do that. But we were going to bleed every second off the clock and get it closer to let Bijan kick, because he's probably been, even prior to this, probably our most consistent guy in our kickoffs, our field goal game. But really happy, Phil, with our special teams this past week. Like you said, Coach Caniglio, Coach O'Rourke, and Coach Yukaitis did a really good job.
Yep. And just last for me, it is Thanksgiving holiday this week. A lot of freshmen, especially, this might be their first time away from home. What does the team have planned for that day, just before the Temple game?
And so what will end up happening, so those guys will go home. We'll practice Wednesday after school. Then those guys will go, everybody will go home after school. The freshmen that don't travel, and the other guys will stay here. We'll have a Thanksgiving. We'll practice Thursday and have a Thanksgiving dinner or lunch. And then we'll allow those guys to have Thanksgiving dinner with their sponsors or family members who come into town.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave. Coach Dave Reardon's joined us. He joined us late. I'm going to email him your cell number and just have him call you directly. He wants to talk to you about the 40-year anniversary. So when this is done, because I got Coach Newberry coming on in a couple minutes. So, Dave, I'll just email you. Okay.
And I'll wait for you to call, Dave. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you on the phone.
I'll listen in, though, and aloha, everybody.
How you doing, Dave? Good seeing you.
Hi, brother.
Pete, real quick.
Coach, I know the caliber of some of the kids that were here this weekend, and despite the results being what they've been, are you excited the fact that your coaches have still been able to go out and gain audiences from the caliber of kids that you've had here from a recruiting standpoint? Because obviously that's something that doesn't stop as the season goes on as well.
Well, I think you see when you have a 90-yard run and a kickoff return for a touchdown, and we got some young guys, Rayon, Lane, Gianni, is playing at linebacker, Tyler Fletcher, another guy. We got some other guys, Ramos, Marcus Blazer. I'm just rambling right now off the top of my head, but we got some young guys I'm really excited about. And like you said, the class that's coming from our prep school right now is, you know, things are doing really well right there. Really excited about those guys coming, and it's really excited about that, and excited about the guys that were signing to come in. But we had a big group at probably the biggest group this past week at our last game. Because I think it's the longevity of our program, the success of our program. And they know the Naval Academy, that doesn't change. You know, our facilities have gotten much better. Chet's done a really good job, you know, with our facilities. But the guys also recognize the league we play in. You know, they see us playing against Cincinnati and people that we played against Notre Dame. And they also reckon we send it out too, where those guys see it, that we had the number one toughest strength of schedule in the country. Not 3, 5, or 4, number one. I mean, I still can't get over that. But just anyways, I mean, there are a lot of things you want to be number one. That's not the one you want to be number one. We'd rather have an easier schedule than number one. But anyways, but those guys see all that, Pete. Those kids see all of that. They know we're going to play good people. They know they're in a great league. Annapolis is beautiful. They know the longevity and the history of our program, that, you know, we win and we go to bowl games. So our trajectory for recruiting continues to go that way.
Quick assessment analysis of what happened Saturday from a defensive perspective.
Yeah, still trying to wrap my mind around it a little bit. Really, obviously disappointed in the way we played. I felt like, you know, with the exception of the opener against Marshall, as poorly as we played all year. Wasn't for lack of effort. Thought that piece of it was really good. I think we stressed a little bit. I think we had a bunch of guys trying to do a little bit too much. You know, we didn't fit things very well the first couple of drives, and I think after that, guys started trying to do a little bit too much at times. The thing that we didn't do a good job of was leveraging not only the ball, but our leveraging coverage, our leverage in our gaps. We were very thick on offensive linemen up front. You know, the ball would hit in a gap where we had occupied. So didn't do a very good job there. I certainly could have helped us in some situations, made some calls that I'd obviously like to get back. So there's plenty of responsibility to kind of go around. I think it's the first game all year, except for the opener, where we didn't play well at any level, D-line, at linebacker, or in secondary. You know, to their credit, thought they did a nice job. Thought they had a really good game plan, kept us off balance. But it's one of those games, Wags, where every call you make, you don't feel great about it. You know, you're reaching for calls and trying to patch things up when things shouldn't need to get patched up at times. And but there were some certain situations, you know, late in the game, especially the 2-point conversion call. I'd love to get that back. Put us in a bad situation there. Obviously had a matchup on a 4th and 4. You know, with their best wide out and one of our backup safeties. It's just not a good matchup. You know, that's on me. I got to do a better job of giving him help in that situation. So disappointed with at times how I called the game, and really disappointed with how we played. Again, I didn't think it was an effort thing. I thought it was just a lot of guys just not doing their job, and our fundamentals weren't great, which caused us to lose leverage on blocks, things like that. So really disappointed. It's crazy to look back. There's 2 or 3 plays that, had they been different in the ball game, but we just couldn't get off the field. And we typically, you know, have been pretty decent at that, and it was a struggle on Saturday.
Both Coach Niumatalolo and Michael McMorris referred in the post-game press conference to communications issues, which you might not expect this far into the season. Was there something that happened that caused, I think they were referring on the back end to communications issues? I know in the one case on the 54-yard pass or whatever it was, you know, Elias Larry let a guy loose and, you know, there was no one there. But what did you see communications issues, or were they referring?
That particular play wasn't a communication breakdown. It was just a pure and simple coverage breakdown. And it was the same issue we had against Notre Dame. Exact same route, 4 verticals out of 3-by-1. except this time it was the field safety that didn't get over the top of the fade, and middle runner wasn't where he was supposed to be. And so it was a perfect example of kind of how the day went. There was one guy that was out of place, caused another guy to overcompensate, which took him away from being able to do his job. And certainly were some communication errors that happened, but the big piece of it was just this lack of us executing. And obviously I got to do a better job of preparing us. And then I've got to do a better job of making calls that our kids are familiar with versus familiar formations, and not asking them to do some things that they haven't done. For example, we zeroed a couple of times versus condensed formations, and we probably should have played coverage. We got lost, guys got open, and that stuff's on me.
So at what point is it just personnel? I mean, you keep taking hits as far as injuries and whatnot, and more and more you're rolling out young guys. At what point is it you just guys are too young and inexperienced to execute?
Well, I mean, there's certainly been some execution errors, but Bill, it's our job to put our guys in a position to be successful, not ask them to do something that they can't do. And so, we've got good players and we've got good young players, and so I'm not going to make excuses and put that on our guys. I mean, I've got to do a better job of that, and that's part of being a good play caller and a good coordinator is, what can you do and what can you not do, and then trying to help us with calls as much as I can. And at the same time, and we can't drop 8 all day. We've got to pick and choose when we're aggressive. We got to take some chances. We have to try to be unpredictable, or we're just kind of sitting ducks. So there's a balance there, and I got to find that balance and keep bringing these young guys along. You see improvements from certain guys every week. I thought Ray Lane did some really good things in the game. I thought Evan Gibbons did some good things. I thought Tyler Fletcher actually played well in the game at will for his first meaningful snaps at will backer. So there were some bright spots. There were just a few more darker spots than the bright ones. And so we just got to keep coaching them, keep getting them better, and I got to do a better job on my end.
So I saw that Terrell Adams started at the will, but you're saying Fletcher got more reps?
Yeah, I think he got a few more reps. Toward the end of the game, he definitely did. Terrell was coming in the nickel situations, but Fletch took the majority of the snaps in the game. But Coach Volker was rotating those guys, and then but Terrell was going in the nickel situations. Just felt a little more comfortable with him. Some of the stuff we were doing there, his overall knowledge of the defense.
Well, on that position, I understand that Johnny Hodges is no longer with the program, and you're already missing Will Harbor. Diego doesn't come off the field. Can you talk about where you're at inside linebacker wise?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where we're at. And I tell you, we've got some really good young players in the program. I'll tell you, it's hard to play linebacker here and learn it all as a freshman. But we've got some good young ones, and we're gonna have to get a couple of those guys ready. And there's some guys that have been taking reps in practice. We just haven't had the opportunity to get them into a game yet, but we've got to do a good job of getting those guys ready to go in case of an emergency. And going into this game, Terrell was going to be the swing guy at Mike and Will. He can certainly do that and function. And do with Diego is if we need to get him out, we need to have the ability to do that. But he's such a valuable player to us on the field. If he's not exhausted, then we're gonna let him roll. But we probably got to do a better job of picking and choosing, series here and there just to keep him on the sidelines and try to keep him fresh and healthy.
All right, give someone else a chance.
Pete Medhurst.
Coach, your nose guard combination, Cromwell and Berniard, they knock on wood, been able to stay healthy for you, but can you talk about their development game by game, especially with all the different types of stuff that you all see, and yet both of them still, as this season continues on, seem to be making plays that you need nose guards to make?
But Berniard is another guy I thought played well on Saturday. Some really good things when he was in there. Clay's been taking slight majority of the reps at nose. I've been telling you guys all along that Clay's a special talent. I mean, he's a big kid. He's 6'3", almost 300 pounds, and really athletic, strong. But not always a guy that's going to be exactly where he's supposed to be, or play with great technique and fundamentals. And that's something that, Coach Hall has been working on and trying to get him caught up to speed. And he's still green at that position, and he's learning and getting better. But we had a couple busts in the interior with him on Saturday, but he makes some unbelievable plays, and he's got a really, really bright future here. We just got to keep bringing him along. And then Biscuit is solid. He's been a guy that we trust, been really reliable, and a guy that's going to leverage and win his gap almost all the time. And so it's a good combination of those two guys. I think Clay's been taking the majority of the third down snaps, and he gives a little bit of a different element, from a pass rush standpoint than Barnyard does. But both good players. It's really good to have that depth at nose with two guys that can go in there and make plays, and the guys that that are good and that you can trust, and you can keep them fresh that way.
The fact that Lane and Gibbons have been able to play a couple of games with each other, that combination back there, what have you seen in their short time together here? Because they seem to be playing a little more aggressively now, not necessarily thinking cautiously. Evan seemed to be up at the line of scrimmage making a ton of plays on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I say Ray is a lot like Clay Cromwell. He's super talented, but still super raw. You've seen improvement from him just about every week. I thought, the Notre Dame game was the exception to that. I think he regressed a little bit in that game. I think the stage maybe got to him, as it would a lot of guys in his position at his age, but he cleaned a bunch of things up from that game and thought he played much better with his eyes, just from an assignment standpoint. Got to get better at tackling in open field. Made some exceptional tackles, but then missed some pretty bad ones. So he'll flash and make a play that you're like, wow, we haven't had a guy around here that make a play like that. And then he'll miss a tackle on the wrong side, things like that. And so he's still green, but I think he's getting better. I think he's understanding the defense. As that grows, so does his confidence, and which makes him a much better player. And I've been real impressed with Gibbons, doing everything we asked him to do. I mean, he's what this program is all about. I mean, great work ethic, super smart, is going to be where you want him to be, and smart enough to know what his deficiencies are too, and to be able to help himself in that regard when he needs to. But he's a guy that I trust a lot. Plays really, really hard, and has done everything we've asked him to do, and he's gotten better every week as well.
Fletcher got to the football a lot in his snaps on Saturday. As you see him going forward, what do you see him as within your defense?
Yeah, well, I think he can play a lot of different positions for us, probably.
Right.
But I see him as a will moving forward, and has a skill set to play Mike as well. But he's an interior guy. And real impressed with him at times. He's like those other young guys, shows flashes of being really good and flashes of being a freshman. But his future is really, really bright. I think an off season here is going to do wonders for him. His body is not is underdeveloped at this point, but he's long, has some length. When Fitz is able to get him for a full off season, spring, summer, I think that's going to help his game quite a bit.
Final one for me, in a season, obviously, as you all talk about all the time, it's a results-oriented business. But in a season like this, the fact that you've been able to play a lot of players, get stuff on film in a game situation, as you move forward with them, to have that on film so you can go correct it with them, so they maybe even understand it that much more because of the game concept standpoint. How much of a blessing in disguise is it to have so many snaps for a lot of these young guys that you've played so far this year?
Oh, well, for the future, it's awesome. It's going to pay off in the long run. There's no question about that. I talked to him today in the staff room about, you're winning or you're learning. And then if you're not doing one of those two, then you're losing, right? So I think right now we're close to winning, certainly learning. And the thing we got to do is just keep building on what we're doing. We've been so close, and I told our guys today, my feelings about them haven't changed. My feelings about our potential and what we could be, what we should be on defense hasn't changed. I love coaching these guys. They come to work every day. They play exceptionally hard, but we got to do a better job of getting ready to play. And enough of the excuses of being young and inexperienced, and injuries and all that stuff. It is what it is. Everybody's got those issues. Now maybe we've done a few more of them than most, but that's our job as coaches to find a way. And same thing with our players. And so, what I look forward to is these next two and finishing this thing up right. And how much better can we be than we were last week moving forward? I think there's certainly some things that happen that we'll get them corrected 100% and improve and move on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Graham Knight.
Coach, just one question for me. You've got some big names leaving this team at the end of this year. Who's going to be the next Diego Fagot? Or the next?
I don't know. I don't know if there is another Diego Fagot. Those kind of players don't come around very often. Like I said earlier, I think we got some really good young ones in the program for sure. I think Fletcher's future is really bright. And hopefully one of those guys will step up. I think, nobody knew that Diego Fagot was going to be who he was as a freshman. And you start to see that toward the end of his sophomore year. But we certainly have some good ones in the program. Hope that they can come out and develop like he does, like he has.
All right, terrific. Yeah, you mentioned several names. Is there anybody else on that list besides the Lanes, the Gibbons, Biscuit, Cromwell? Anybody else that starting to shine?
And I think, like we've talked about, I think Busick is a guy that's a younger guy that's played a bunch of snaps for us, started in, and I've been really impressed with him this year. Didn't play his best game on Saturday, but up to this point, he's done a lot of really, really good things for us. But as far as the guys that have played for us this year, those would be the young guys that have stood out to me.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Phil Bergman.
Coach, as a young guy, that first step is just to get them onto the field, get that game experience. What's that next step you want to see out of all of these young guys out there?
Just an improvement off of the things that they did wrong. Getting those things corrected, and you see them getting more and more comfortable. I mentioned Ray earlier, and just as a coach, when you can clean up their eyes and you can make things as much black and white for them as possible, then that speeds up how fast they can play and their level of confidence. And so it's just getting snaps, and there's no substitute for game experience. And those guys have been in some really tight games, some big games, and so that's but you can see their confidence, despite the losses that we've had, their confidence in what they're doing grow every week, and then things come up every week that they haven't seen, and we're able to learn from those. Sometimes they're mistakes, sometimes they're good things, but just the more snaps they play, the better they're going to be. So I am encouraged by what I've seen at a lot of the young guys that are playing. It's definitely exciting. Gets me excited about our future here.
I wanted to follow up on one of Pete's questions about Evan Gibbons. Led the team tied for 10 tackles, 7 total on Saturday. You talked about a little what he's like off the field, on the field. What are some of his strengths? What are you really seeing out of him in these past few games? Yeah,
just he's super dialed in, very, very smart, cerebral, studies film. He's a lot like Kevin Brennan in that regard. His preparation is as good as anybody's. He's a guy that you see after practice getting extra drill work in. Saw him tackling a bag the other day, and you notice that his tackling has improved dramatically during the season. So it's something that he recognized he needed to work on, something that he's attacked. But he's a coach's dream as far as just the way he works, the way he prepares, and he loves ball, wants to be good, and does everything he can to be a good teammate. And just really, really pleased with him.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
All right, I'll make another trip around. I know Pete is good. Wags.
Coach, Berniard limped off the field late. Is he good to go?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. It's a physical game, but he's okay.
And last week there was a reporter from a paper that covers Ole Miss talking to Coach Niumatalolo about Jake Springer. Are you surprised that Springer is starting and playing really well for a Power 5 school that's, ranked and pretty darn good?
No, not at all. He was obviously a really fine player for us, and I didn't have any doubt in my mind that wherever he ended up, he was going and have success. And I think the thing that he's done is he's made people there better. He brought some of the cultural stuff from Navy and work ethic, attention to detail type things from here, and I think he's made his teammates there better. And he's smart football player, and I'm a little surprised that they're moving around as much as they have. They played him at high safety some, and he's an overhang, and but obviously very effective coming off the edge and tackling out in space and all that. So no, not surprised at all, Bill.
Graham Knight.
Hey, Coach, take us to Temple now. Anything special you gonna take from the game this past week from ECU and use against Temple?
From ECU?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of the Tulane game last year. Went into halftime and Diego came out and said, there was no special speeches. We just said, stay in your lane, focus on your job, just do your job. That's it. And so I'm kind of wondering, as you look at the ECU game and you look ahead to Temple, are there any takeaways or anything special you're going to take from this last week's game and use this coming week?
I think it's just things that we've got to improve on. I think it's out there. We've watched it, filmed today with our players. I mean, this is this is the difference in winning and losing on the way we have to do things. And sometimes you see your most significant improvement after a butt kick and after a difficult loss like that, where you really don't play well at all. So that's what I'm hoping to see. I think our kids will embrace that. I think we've taken ownership as a staff. I think our players are doing the same thing, and so they know what needs to get fixed, and they'll work to get it fixed moving forward.
Phil Bergman, final
Coach, I
question.
was talking to Coach Niumatalolo about Coach Caniglia and what he's meant to special teams. What's he meant to the defense this year?
Well, he adds value in everything that he does. He's a guy in the room that understands big picture stuff. He's coached D-line, linebackers now, and working with secondary, and so he's a guy that has good ideas, good suggestions. We work together with the safeties, and sometimes he sees things that I don't, and has some good ideas, and two heads are better than one. And so he's done an awesome job. He's been terrific on special teams, doing a great job of recruiting, and just a great mind to have in the defensive staff room. Another guy to bounce ideas off of and have suggestions. And so just like I knew he would, he's added value in every possible way since he's been here.